All right, I'm going to do the community question. Oh, wait, I have to burp. No, I don't. Okay.
I saw an influencer today talk about her and her sister had a YouTube video, and her sister burped one time in the video, and she mentioned it in the description, and then that's how people are finding their video, is like weirdos typing in girl
Like
burping.
burp?
Yeah.
Is that how we get our subscription numbers up?
Fooled you, now you're educated. You were looking for burps.
Now you know you're autistic.
Right, and a weirdo, and your special interest is burps.
Welcome to Discovering Divergency, where we discuss our lives navigating late diagnosed neurodivergency. I'm Crystal, your ADHD OT.
I'm Amanda, your ASD PsyD.
And I'm Sydney, your optimistic autistic.
And today we're going to be discussing our special interests and hyperfixations. But before we get into that, I was wondering if you guys had any sticky thoughts on our topic last week, which was relationships, or any new discoveries this week.
I discovered this fidget, which if you can't see it because you're listening with your ears, it's a Nido cube, and I really like it a lot. There's something about it. This isn't sponsored. I just really like it.
So Specs is another brand that doesn't get the... Nido, I feel like, has gotten the publicity lately.
Yeah.
Specs is a different brand, and they have a lot of different ones, and they have the same texture as Nido. And I think for me, I think it's like way stronger. Like, I've popped every Nido that I've ever had, but the Specs one I can like really pull at, and I don't pop it. So
you know what I'm after is a butter shaped fidget.
I thought you had one.
I had one and I destroyed it in 24 hours. Like,
yeah.
I'm like a dog with a chew toy. I just ripped it apart just by using it because it was like foam. And
yeah, the cheap ones you rip
I need
apart.
this kind with like the gel. So if anyone knows where I could find one of those, please let me know. Asking for a friend. Just kidding. Asking for myself.
I got I saw both our families this weekend actually, but I saw Zach's mom yesterday, and I was really excited to show you guys this. She gave me this brain, this
so
autistic
cute.
brain.
That's so cute.
That's so cool.
She was like,
Oh.
like your podcast, it's a brain. And then
Cute.
But so it's from a company called Giant Microbes, and they have like all different stuffies of like organs and things. They have like this whole thing on autism, and I think it was actually like really well written. I was like pleasantly surprised reading it, which was cool.
Would you like
That's
to give
awesome.
us an excerpt?
Yeah, sure. It's a diverse spectrum of a neurological condition that impacts how a person perceives information and socializes with others. No two autistic people are alike, and there is a great range of traits and abilities among those who are diagnosed. And then it like goes into a little bit of statistics. Like today, approximately 2% of people are diagnosed with autism. The rate of diagnosis is rising as the condition often went undetected in the past. The brain of each autistic person is unique and with its own patterns and connectivity. The autistic community is just as diverse as the autistic brain. Every autistic person is on a different journey, forming their own opinions and speaking their own minds.
That's cute.
I like it.
It does sound like it's really well written.
Yeah, I was like reading it out loud, and I was like, every line, I was like, wow. Because a lot of times you read stuff about autism, and you're like, ugh, all right, like,
Yeah.
this
I kind of thought it was just going to be like super clinical too, but it's like, it's nice that it's like, oh, people are different and like kind of think differently. Cool.
Yeah, and then it's even like we all must strive harder to create a compassionate world for autistic people. Thankfully, attitudes are changing. Many educators, clinicians, and advocates and the public are embracing the concept of neurodiversity so that everybody, no matter how they experience the world, can express their full potential.
That's awesome.
It's really nice. But yeah, so that's my little brain. And she was a little worried too, giving me my birthday presents, because she was like, I saw your podcast, and I was like, oh no, I don't want to make you anxious giving you presents, and I hope that like I give you good presents. But that is one thing. Linda, Zach's mom, always gives like the best, most thoughtful presents.
That's awesome. I don't have a little gift this week. I don't have a Nido or a little brain. But I guess kind of my thought that's sticking with me from last week is just kind of some of the overlap with special interests and like hyperfixations and relationship stuff. Like I'm really into a game right now, and I'm like the kind of person who like I'm playing this game for like hours and hours and hours and hours, and I'm not playing it with my partner. So I kind of feel like right now I'm like spending a lot of time doing that, like, and not as much time spending with my partner. But I think that's something that can definitely come up is like when you're really focused on something and it might be something unrelated to spending time with your partner.
Yeah, and then bring in the transition of if you're hyper focused on that thing and somebody wants to interrupt it.
Right.
Look at us using our vocabulary.
Yeah. And if you haven't listened, we have episodes on those things, so go back and listen. So, Amanda, can you define special interests in terms of autism for us?
Yeah, so I guess a place to start a little bit, I've kind of talked about before that there's this thing called the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual. It's something that psychologists, like therapists, sometimes doctors, like professional providers will use this as a resource to be able to diagnose different disorders. So with autism, there's a set of different presentations and combination of presentations that need to occur in order to be diagnosed with autism. One of the things that's a symptom of autism is highly restricted fixated interests that are abnormal in intensity or focus. Basically, what that means is autistic folks have an intensity with our interests, and oftentimes too are experiencing them to a level that other folks might not be experiencing them. And oftentimes too, when we have some kind of specific focus, we tend to talk a lot about that topic, and we struggle at times to conversate about other topics or even understand that other people may not be as interested in this topic as we are. A very common stereotype that people might hear about autistic interests, which some folks might have this interest, but I think this is the most common archetype of this, is this interest with trains. A lot of times when people think about autism, it's this stereotype of like someone really into trains. And this might be someone who's like collecting a lot of toy trains, or this might be someone that's talking a lot about trains or is very focused on trains. That's a really big stereotype, and even though that might be a particular archetype of autistic interest, it is something.
I'm just so happy the train is coming right on cue.
I summoned it.
I was like, of course the train's not coming now, but it's here.
The Tism train has arrived.
So excited. Sorry, Amanda.
No, all good. I didn't even think about the fact that the train by you is definitely going to go
So
by.
I saw your face and I was like, oh God, I think the train's here. And it was.
That's so funny. But yeah, so with like that interest, like folks might be very into things. Something I want to mention too, that I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about today, is that a interest that is related to autism is very different than a hobby. Like for a hobby, that might be something you enjoy, that might be something that brings you pleasure, that might even be something that at times consumes a lot of your time in different ways, but it is not the same as like an autistic fixated interest. And some of the differences too is that when there's something that an autistic person is very focused on, it might neglect all their personal needs. So they might be focused on this interest to the point of not eating, not showering, not going to the bathroom, not doing other things. That's very different than a hobby. Like you might be really into, I don't know, drawing and like really enjoy doing drawing. But if you're not autistic and it's not this fixated interest, so you might draw a lot and you might spend like 3 or 4 hours a day drawing because you're trying to increase your skill, but you're likely not neglecting your personal needs and you're likely doing other things in your day. So that's kind of the difference.
I just also wanted to add there's often like a level of emotional attachment to these special interests and possibly them becoming kind of part of your identity. So obviously I'm speaking from an ADHD lens, and ADHD meaning I have autism and ADHD. So the way things present for me are a little different, I think, than Sydney and Amanda. And in terms of special interests with ADHD often you see like really intense focus on certain things, but probably for less or shorter periods of time, like we lose interest in things because we crave a lot of novelty. So I think as we like discuss, I'll kind of explain my, I don't know, because I'm having a hard time knowing what my special interests are versus the intensity of an hyperfixation.
I think that makes a lot of sense. And I think that's where, too, like, it's important to consider who someone is as a whole and who, like, what someone's going through as a whole. Like, then as we talk about in a lot of these episodes, this is where it's important that, like, if you have something going on and you're wondering about it, speak to your providers, speak to professionals who can really, like, get into that nitty gritty with you, and don't just be like, oh, I listened to the podcast and they talked about this one topic and now I'm autistic. Like, there's a lot of different things that could be going on that lead to certain behaviors or presentations.
I've got a question.
Yeah.
What is the difference between a special interest and a hyperfixation, like categorically? Because I never had heard the word hyperfixation until Crystal said it one day many years ago. But like, I don't really, like, even for myself, I'm trying to sit here and think, like, what are my special interests versus my hobbies versus my hyperfixations? And do I even have hyperfixations? Like, I'm not totally sure how to differentiate or categorize that.
Well, I don't think that hyperfixations like is a clinical term. It's more of like a
what does it mean?
colloquial thing. It's just like, I think for, especially with ADHD, hyperfixations, like, you are zoned in on one thing, and like Amanda mentioned, like neglecting everything else that there is around you. Like, you're almost tunnel vision on this thing. I'm not a traintism, but train is here. So if your special interest is trains, this podcast is for you. Yeah, I think I actually want to add one more thing, and I don't know if this is going to help answer that at all. I think it was Dr. Megan Anna Neff. She described her interests as a solar system. And I think this can happen a lot with ADHD. And like, so let's talk about like a typical, like, a regular special interest, right? You're talking about like trains, and you're collecting everything with trains. Whereas, like, I think for me, I think I can relate to the solar system, because like my specialist, I would say one of my special interests is crafting, right? That is also a hobby that many people have, and that's also going to look very different every time I do it. So it's not going to look like I'm focusing on one thing, or that I have this like intense need to do this one thing or relate to this one thing, because like maybe for 3 months it's crocheting, but then the next 3 months it's painting, and then the next 3 months it's drawing. So it's looking like it's changing because I still need that novelty, but it's the level that I need to go to. Like, I need to know the entire history of it. Like, I'm not just crocheting. Like, when I learned how to crochet, I was going to sleep watching crocheting videos, waking up and crocheting. And when I was at work, all I was thinking about was getting home to crochet. And like, it like literally would catch myself like doing other things and thinking about like, when was the next time that I can go and get my hands on a hook, and like that sounds so silly, but like, that's the level, that's like the deep intensity of a special interest that a hobby doesn't have.
Yeah, I think Crystal gave like a really vivid, helpful explanation of like what that is. Like, it is the eat, sleep, and breathe of this item to the neglect of everything and anything else in your life. And I think something that might help answer some of your question too, Sydney, I think one, I agree with Crystal, like I have to look back at my resources, but I think hyperfixation is more of like a colloquial kind of term. I often see it more in like the ADHD or ADHD realm. So I think it's a term that tends to populate more in those situations. But I think my personal definition, without looking directly at some resources right now, is I would say hyperfixation tends to be a little more short term. Special interest, quote unquote, is a bit more long term. But like Crystal was saying, it might be more of this other kind of archetype of like overall crafting might be a long-term special interest, but like maybe the particular craft of the time period is a hyperfixation.
I felt so much joy just in that moment saying those things about like I'm having like the tingles. Like Amanda briefly talked about like how we can get stuck on talking about our special interests, and like I just like I'm literally I feel like I feel my blood like like
I know exactly what you mean.
I feel re-energized. Like the autistic joy of being able to talk about your special interest or being around somebody that either shares your special interest, but like I also just like I feed off of somebody else's joy that like when they're talking about like, I don't know, Sid, do you want to get into like one of your special interests?
Well, I remember you were sitting in my parents' kitchen one time many years ago. It was like one of the first times we ever hung out, like just like a small group of us. And I was talking about, spoiler alert, one of my special interests is The Sims and some other video games. But I was talking about my Sims builds because I did some in college with my friends, including Crystal's boyfriend. And I like brought my laptop down, found my old save files, and pulled up all my builds from college. And I was like, tell me if you want me to shut up. And she's like, I love this. Keep going. I swear. And I love that so much. One, because I like making other people happy. And two, like, I was so excited to talk about my special interest with someone who like actually wanted to hear about it. But like with my special interests of, I'm going to say video games, but like very specific video games, like not all video games. I like The Sims. I like Animal Crossing. I like certain games, but like that is a whole, and I'm only saying this because I haven't played Sims in a long time, which I mentioned in other episodes for other reasons, but like, I still love it. Like I still love The Sims. We're just on a break. But I'm trying to think like the more we talk about this stuff, the more I'm like, do I have ADHD? Because I also like, I will jump from thing to thing. I will like totally neglect all of my needs, which is funny because in The Sims, you literally have needs for like hours. And Tyler will come be like, did you eat dinner? And I'm like, what time is it? He's like 9 p.m. I'm like, no, I didn't. Oops. And he's like, when was the last time you drank water or went to the bathroom or like stood up? And I'm like, I don't know. So like that's me. But like in terms of switching interests, like I do that. I have like all these craft things that I've like started or wanted to start that I like got stuff to do and then didn't start them and didn't finish them. Like I have a lot of half crocheted rectangles, and like I just cleaned out our credenza and my craft drawer, and I just found all this stuff that like I'm not gonna use, that like I got like terracotta clay. I was like, I'm gonna make pots. Like I'm gonna start making pots. And my recent, I guess it kind of, I mean, I don't know if I'd call it a hyperfixation because I'm not really like thinking about it constantly, but like my latest craft that I've been thinking about a lot and doing is like watercolors. But I really commit to the watercolors. I'm really trying to commit to something. But yeah, I agree with you. As I'm saying all this, I'm like getting really happy. like I love to talk about The Sims. I love The Sims so much. I love her with my whole heart. And I have Sims merch. I've got like, people get me Sims stuff. Crystal's made me a Sims bookmark once. I still have it and I still use it. I know all the lore. Like I know all the items. Like I'm so into it.
She's so good at it too.
Thank you. I'm also very right now into Animal Crossing, which I've been like kind of leaning on for my fix. But like I will just, because it's in real time, like the way the game works is like it's in real time. So like it's 3:44 now, it's 3:44 in the game. I will like bring it to work. Like if I need to do something at a certain time, I'll like I'm taking a break and I like pull it out and I use it. Amanda, Tell us more about your special interest. I want to hear. Or interests, plural.
I mean, mine is psychology. Like it has been since I was like a teen. And I think that was the biggest thing when I was talking about it in my assessment. And also too, like something we talk about is like sometimes women go undiagnosed because the things that they're really into is just viewed differently. Like what like female assigned birth people sometimes are really into like Taylor Swift or really into like different pop stars or different like celebrities and different things, which like people socially think it's okay for females to be very into, or like when feminine people are into like social justice or psychology or those kind of things. Like again, those things sometimes fly under the radar regarding special interest for autistic females or autistic assigned a female at birth people. But for me, when I was doing my assessment, I talked about like I've always like been very into people and understanding psychology. And like I was like in middle school doing like a peer support group and like learned how to ask people questions and like was very into those things. Or even like when I'm not learning educationally psychology, like I gravitate towards psychological themes in books. Like I love to read books about people with mental illness or with different like struggles in that way. And it's something that like I always turn back to, whether it's in my career or in my personal life. And like that's the difference too, is like, yeah, like I'm like, oh, I didn't tell you all, I'm officially licensed now, so that's very exciting. Yeah. But like as a clinical psychologist, like I have to know certain things for my career or do certain things for my career. So like sometimes I'm researching those things because I need to for professional reasons. But it's also the kind of thing of like I'm in the middle of the night thinking about like articles or like trying to write different things or thinking about like what book I can read that like will help me learn more in that way. And like again, like even in my personal time, I'm like I still want to turn to these topics. I still want to learn about these topics. So for me, that's always been like my long-term interest is like psychology and people and that kind of stuff.
That is definitely also my long-term special interest, and probably also partially stems from like wanting to understand ourselves and like figure out. But like I took the same psych level 1 course probably 3 times because like I just loved it. Like I in high school I had like an opportunity to take it at a college campus, so I did. And then I had an opportunity to take AP Psych, so I did. And then I like think I took it again in college, and then I took like every one of my elective classes was in psychology. I love psychology and also like the physiological understanding how the body works. So like OT was the perfect mesh for me of like figuring out how the brain and body works. And like I just think it's so cool to know like what and why your body is doing things. But what I wanted to ask you, Amanda, have you ever, so because I'm going to explain myself and then ask you if this has ever happened to you. Before I realized like I knew I loved this, before I realized I was autistic and that this was a special interest, like I was really trying to draw a line between work and home. And so I started really, especially when I was experiencing what I partially was probably work burnout, but was really autistic burnout. And so like trying to really delineate that line between work and home, and I wasn't allowing myself to research things that were related to my career. But then that's also my special interest. And so I was missing a really big part of who I am and a big part of who like of my life. So I wonder if like that's ever happened for you.
Not particularly. Like I think for me, it always blends. Like it's hard for me to delineate like what is, for lack of a better term, like what is work and what is fun. Like I think about in particularly like my dissertation topic. Like another special interest of mine that we haven't talked a ton about is like I care a lot about like sexuality and like the psychology of sexuality, I would say, and everything. And like my dissertation topic was related to that. So like I'm reading articles and writing my dissertation, but I'm also like, oh my God, this is so cool. Like, this is so cool to read this article and to like learn this specific topic or learn this specific thing about this topic. And I think for me, that's where like I can't delineate the two, because I have to do my dissertation, and also I very much enjoy doing my dissertation. So like there isn't that clear line. I think as I expand more in my career, I think I will find that line. I think also right now, because of the structure of my job, like I haven't been exploring psychology as much, and I've been kind of putting my interest in other places. But then also like I'm the kind of person that like whatever's on my mind, I can't stop researching it and I can't stop thinking it. Like I am the kind of person of like, we mentioned like us talking casually earlier, we were talking about doctor's appointments. Like I might go to a doctor's appointment and they tell me something, and now I'm spending like the whole week looking more into this phenomenon that the doctor told me about, or looking more into like statistics about it, or looking more into different pieces of knowledge about that. And that's probably been more what's going on for me lately, rather than looking into psychology stuff. I kind of lost track of the question, but hopefully that answered it.
No, yeah. I think for me, I just like, maybe it's my worries too, because I do enjoy that research, and I'll do the same thing with like medical things. I think because they can be so linked to us, I like worry about over worrying myself of like, if I look into this too much, like just because I'm fascinated, I'm like sitting there and I remember one time I had so much fun. My boyfriend is a sports broadcaster, a high school sports broadcaster. And I just like to be like, we like parallel play, and like we'll do our own thing in the same place. So like I'll go to the game if it's a nice night. And I remember I was sitting there and I don't know, I hadn't gotten Botox for migraine. This is like how my brain works. This is my ADHD and autism. I hadn't gotten Botox for migraine, which worsened my like migraines. And then I was wondering if like what chemical compounds are in Botox. And then I like started researching that. I'm sitting with headphones on like this at a high school football game. It was homecoming. Everybody has big signs, but I'm sitting there researching and writing this down. And I like somehow started like looking into acetylcholine, and then started looking into all the different chemical transmitters, and I'm like, oh, this is definitely linked with autism. Like there's a link here, and I'm like writing it down, and then I'm like texting my friend about it that's also into autism, and then I'm like, okay, I think I figured this out. And then I look and I'm like, okay, they've already been researching this for years, but I was still correct. Like I still was on the right path. And I remember like I was just having so much fun, and like people sitting around me were like, I think this girl's doing homework. Like she's at a football game right now. Yeah, I think because some of my special interests do relate to health and mental health, like I kind of walk a thin line of like trying not to overthink myself into panics.
Yeah. And I think that's hard, like especially when it's something that really interests you. Like I think that's where like, I don't think this is like a complete solution, but I think this is where like my mind goes, is like, I think sometimes that's where I might kind of not necessarily restrict myself, but find ways of navigating those things. So like a lot of times what I'll do is like, I'll save articles for later, but I won't let myself read it in the moment. And like, that's kind of my way sometimes of doing that. Or like, it might be certain things of like, if I'm really into something, maybe instead of reading the academic version of it, I'm reading people's experiences on Reddit or something. Like some way of like engaging with that topic, but maybe not wearing myself sick, if that makes sense.
You know what I think I'm realizing too? Like, I think it's a worry that I don't need to worry about. I think other people have made me worry about it, because I feel like that was a therapist. Like one of my first therapists was like, well, you need to stop looking at so much stuff about work at home. And like, I at some point was probably like directly like, okay, I'm thinking about this specific patient. Like that's different than like, I'm just researching this part of the brain. Like that's cool. 'Cause when I let go of that, like, and I put on Divergent Conversations every morning, like that became part of my routine, and I loved that. But I think I've also, because I do educate myself so much and I do have so much knowledge, like sometimes doctors think I'm a hypochondriac, but I'm just well educated. And I want you to have all the facts. And I know how it is to be a clinician without all the facts. But because I'm giving you all the facts, you think that I've been like, oh, it's okay, honey. This is going to all work. And I'm like, I'm not worried. I just want you to have all of the facts. Like, you need them. So now I try to like walk the line of like, no, I don't know all these things. You can tell me. Because I don't want them to think that I'm a hypochondriac. I don't know if this is even my special, like we talked about special interest, but.
No, but I think it applies, because I think it goes back to like the ways we communicate sometimes might not be the ways that neurotypical people communicate. And something might be interpreted differently there. Like something that can tend to happen a little bit more with autistic people is like over explaining, because we feel like you said, I feel like you need to have all the information. So I'm going to give you all the information. And sometimes other folks might interpret that as like being neurotic or anxious in different ways, or like even going back to some of the other stuff too with like special interests that like Sydney and Crystal, you both talked about, like that excitement you get with talking about these interests. But meanwhile, sometimes when we might be excited about this topic, other people might be bored and might not care and might not want to listen. And I think there can be challenges with that. And I think that's also where like all the autistic symptomology kind of can roll into each other, of like, you're not just having special, like quote unquote special interests, you're also having special interests with communication challenges, with social challenges, with challenges misunderstanding social cues. And I think that's where it can all kind of roll into each other with this.
Yeah, I have so much trouble knowing when to shut up about something. Like, I'll be explaining something that I do a lot is like, I'll be somewhere and I'm trying to think of a good example. Oh, someone said something the other day about like cricket flour, like as opposed to like regular bread flour and like wheat flour. I think it was at work, and someone said something about cricket flour. And at the office, I just went, you can make cricket flour in The Sims. And everyone was like, they know that I like The Sims, so they weren't like totally caught off guard, but they were like, oh yeah, is that true? And then like I was like, yeah, you can get this item and then you have to feed your crickets and you have to like what, and they were like thumbs up, like okay. I mean, they weren't being rude or anything, but like no one cared. That's fine. I don't need them to care. But like I wanted to go into everything about like the eco lifestyle pack, and like I just want to like go into it about like all the things you can do that are like good for the environment, which is another one of my special interests is sustainability. So whenever anyone does or says anything that's like related to sustainability, or when they're like recycling good for the earth, and I'm like, heck if it is. No, it's not. It's actually a lie. And then like people don't know about that, and then I go into it, and then I feel like I'm just like either boring people or freaking people out. But I know that I'm right, and I'm just like telling them, and I don't know when to stop. It's like a combination of like, I don't know when to stop because I don't know the social cues, and I don't want to stop because it makes me happy to say it out loud and for someone else to hear it.
Sid, I really like appreciate like you and Crystal are giving me like really good examples of like how this manifests, like exactly what you said, Sid, of like this random thing can happen and all of a sudden it's related to something you care about. And you're like, oh my God, I have to tell you about this thing. And other people might be like, how did we get to this thing? But that's what happens is like for autistic folks, when that topic comes up, you have to talk about it. You want to talk about it. It doesn't matter if someone's going to listen. It doesn't matter if they're really invested in it. But like, it's sometimes maybe for myself, at least, I won't speak for all autistic people, but it's that urge of like, oh my God, you care about that thing, or I have to mention that thing. And like, that's exactly why that interest is so different than like people just being like, I kind of play The Sims sometimes, but I might not know that there's all these special things about The Sims, and I could tell you all about the path about The Sims and all the different ways that you can like get to this conclusion, or the same things that you're mentioning with like recycling. I think that's an important aspect too, because I think sometimes for autistic folks, you can fall, at least for myself, I fell into this phenomenon, but like, I feel like sometimes it's this phenomenon of people being like, well, you think you're a know-it-all, or you think you know more, like you're talking too much about this thing, or you're a know-it-all, or you always want to correct people, or whatever it is. But for sometimes folks like us, it could be like, no, I know the accurate information. I've researched this for hours. I know a lot about this thing. But I think that's where, again, the communication challenges can kind of happen of like, you're excited to just share something and share knowledge, and someone might feel defensive or offended, and you might not have any idea that that's going on in the moment.
Yeah, and then I get nervous that I'm wrong. Like, I know that I'm right, that recycling is a scam, but what if I'm not? I don't know. Like, even when I say, like, I'm confident I know I'm right, but I say it out loud and I'm like, oh my God, what if I get caught in a lie one day? Like, I mean, I'm not ever trying to lie.
It's not really a lie. It's just like you're wrong. Like,
I know, but like,
misunderstanding.
someone
I know.
could
I call
say
it a
you're
lie
lying.
too.
I don't know. I get nervous about that. But like, I gave an entire presentation at my office a few years ago on Earth Day about sustainability. We were doing these like happy hours at one point, and I was like, for Earth Day, I'd like to give a presentation. So I did. But now I'm like the person that whenever someone has like a question about something related to sustainability, they ask me. I'm like, this is hilarious that I'm like the sustainability expert. But like, I actually know so much more than I realize. And I'm so happy to talk about it. Like, people are like, I'm so sorry to bother you, but I have a question about my compost. And I'm like, don't apologize. Hit me with the question.
Do you ever feel like when things like that happen, or maybe it's because I am worried about saying too much. I want to say everything at the same time, and I don't know what's the right thing to say. Like, when someone asks me, I'm like, this is my chance. This is my opportunity to talk about the thing. I want to take advantage of the opportunity, but I also don't, I know I only have a limited amount of time. So what's the most important thing to say about this in this moment? And then I start 7 sentences and none of them are finished. And it makes no sense.
And then the question is like, do I really need to even say anything about The Sims? None of it's really important. And I know people care about me being happy more than they care about the thing. So like, when I tell my mom we're in TJ Maxx and I'm like, they have this in The Sims, or like, this reminds me of The Sims, she's like, that's so cool. And then we like move on. But she doesn't need to know why. She doesn't really care to know why. That's fine. But if I want to say it, she'll listen to me.
Amanda, what's your longest special interest?
I mean, it's definitely the psychology stuff. Like, I think there's other things that like I've had.
Did I ask that already?
I don't remember. My brain's a little like mush today.
No, we asked what her special interest is.
And then I think I ended up saying it.
And then the answer is the same for both questions.
It's still psychology.
It's still psychology.
I think what's interesting too, and it's important to keep in mind too, because we were also like trying to talk about the difference between quote unquote a special interest and quote unquote a hyperfixation, is some of these things might change in your lifespan in general. Like, we grow as people and like we may not be into the same things our entire lifespan. That doesn't necessarily mean one thing or another. But like, I know from my evaluation, like I talked about, like when I was a child, I was very into animals and like wanted to be a veterinarian and like really liked animals and stuff. And like, I still like animals, but I don't think with the same way that I did as a kid. And I think that's stuff to keep in mind too, is like, we just change as people. Like, yes, there's some things that are going to stay stable in our life, but just because something changes doesn't necessarily mean things. Like, even Sid talked about, like, Sydney really likes The Sims, but there's different reasons that she might not be playing it right now. And I think that doesn't necessarily mean one thing or another regarding her interests.
I think the other important thing I want to talk about, well, I think it's important, is, for lack of better words right now, like having childish special interests. I think that's something that late diagnosed people I've seen online, I think, or at least for myself, like, I think not allowing yourself to do something because it's feeling childish is something that, like, I have maybe in the past grappled with. I don't know if that's something you guys relate to.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think that's another one where it's like, people might not think there's anything going on with a girl or woman, whatever, that has a lot of stuffed animals. But if it's to the point where you're like, I have to have every jelly cat, or I have to have every squishmallow, or whatever version of that, then maybe it is a certain kind of interest. But I do think there's a lot of different like thoughts and feelings about having, like you said, like childish interests.
I'm thinking about you saying like people change, and obviously I've changed and people change, but I feel like I've gone back to like a child version of myself. Like, all of my interests now are the same thing that they were when I was like 4. They stopped being an interest like in between that. Like, at some point I learned I wasn't supposed to do those things, but like, I don't like I loved playing dolls, and I still I have a partner
That's what
who
Sims
will play
is.
dolls
Sims
with
is
me.
dolls.
Yes.
That's what we do. We play dolls on the computer.
I love playing dolls. Well, we make our little stuffed animals talk. Like, I always slept with a stuffed animal, and then I like started sleeping with a pillow instead of a stuffed animal.
Me too.
Right? But now I have my stuffed animals, and I have my Squirtle. I sleep with sleeping Squirtle, and I have Cow. Cow is weighted. Sydney got me Cow. But then when I got Cow, when Cow came to the family, I started feeling bad because like I was favoring Cow over Squirtle, and I had slept with Squirtle for so long, and then I had to stop myself from thinking. I'm like, there are stuffed animals, Crystal. You don't have to, because I do have that emotional attachment. Like, I logically know that they're stuffed animals and I can't hurt their feelings, but like there is a part of me that's like, oh no, I'm favoring it. And then like Zach jokingly said something like, oh, Squirtle's gonna get I'm like, you can't do that. I'm already like talking myself out of doing that. You can't add to it. Like, as a joke. He's like, okay. Or
yeah,
like,
that's how I feel about Sims.
You feel bad about it.
I feel like when I never really made a conscious decision to stop playing Sims temporarily. I just kind of like, it gave me a little bit of the ick, so I stepped away, and then it's just like kind of naturally I've stopped playing in recent months. But like, I remember I even talked about it in therapy. This like, and I think I texted you guys about it. This like guilt that I'm like cheating on my special interest. like I started playing Animal Crossing, and then I can't play two games at once, like religiously with each. Like, I can't play The Sims religiously and Animal Crossing religiously. I kind of have to pick one and then dabble in the other. But like, I had this feeling of like, this is part of my identity. Like, people get me Sims birthday gifts. People know me as the girl who likes Sims. People make jokes about it. Like, and when I would tell people like, oh yeah, I haven't played in like a week, and people were like, are you okay?
Yeah,
and I had to be like,
yeah,
I had to be like, yeah, I'm fine. Why? Like, and I realized it's because it's part of my identity. And then I started questioning it, and then I was like, I have to explain to people, and then that like, I got nervous. Like, that just like made me really stressed. And I'm kind of a little more comfortable with it now, but like, I sometimes feel this guilt. And then like when I start a craft and then I like don't finish the craft, and sometimes my partner's like, oh, you know what you should do is finish that thing you were knitting last week because it's half done and it's just like sitting there. I'm like, I can't do that. I'm done with that. I'll get to it another time. And he's like, why don't you just finish it? I'm like, you don't understand. Then I'm like, oh my God, no, he's right. I should finish it. And then I feel guilty. And I this feeling of like I'm cheating on my special interest is like, it's so silly, but it's a real feeling that I have. Do you guys have that too, right? Sometimes? Am I the only one?
Let's awkwardly pause for a really long time.
Pause for effect.
Going back to Crystal's brain, we're all different people. Autistic people are all different with different experiences.
I used to feel that way so like high school me, my special interest was Blink-182. Like, I was not just a Blink-182 fan. Like, it was my special interest. So I needed to learn about every single one of them and about every single thing, where they came from. Like, I had to learn all about San Diego because they're from San Diego. So now I need to learn all about the state of San Diego. If they mentioned Mexican food from Sombreros just because. So then I had to find Sombreros, the restaurant, and get a t-shirt from this little tiny restaurant in San Diego. They were like, we don't ship t-shirts. Like, I had to get like email, like the little owner, but like that's the level. I had to listen to every single live version of their song and know every single lyric, like sit and study every single lyric. And then so sometimes I haven't listened to their newest albums, and that I feel bad about. But like that I feel, I'm like, like, I don't really want to. Like, I just don't want to. It's not my thing anymore. Like, I still love them. I still love that time. I'll go back and listen to the music I listened to back then. But I do feel that guilt of like, no, I should. How do I not know I don't know every single Blink-182 song. That's insane to me. Like, high school me would be like, you're disgusting. Like, what's wrong with you?
I have the same thing with like Ed Sheeran. I was into Ed Sheeran. My friend Emily and I were into Ed Sheeran before Ed Sheeran was cool. I just want to put it out there. But anyway, it's besides the point. I was very into Ed Sheeran in like middle school, high school. I knew every word. I could play all his songs on the guitar. I saw him. I actually cried at his concert. It was literally a life-changing experience. He's very talented, like aside from all this, but like I don't really know when. And I know that his music changed over the years. Like he kind of went a little more in the pop direction, but there was a point where like I kind of didn't care anymore. And everyone was like, "Did you hear the new Ed Sheeran album? I bet you've listened to every single song by now." And I was like, "Yeah, totally." Like, but I didn't. I didn't listen to it. I didn't care. And even my other favorite artist, Parachute, they no longer make music, but like I knew every lyric to every song. Again, I could play it on the guitar. I talked about it. I had all their merch. I went to a couple concerts. But like at some point, I just kind of like fell off, and I still love Parachute, like with my whole heart. But like I didn't really listen to their last album like as religiously as I used to. For whatever reason, I felt kind of guilty about it, that I like don't know every single lyric to every single one of their songs, especially because I kind of dropped off at the end. Yeah, I feel that guilt of like, I feel really bad that I didn't follow along all the way.
Yeah, it's kind of weird to have a normal interest, I guess, right? Like that's how, like,
Yeah.
Not to have that intense need to know every song and every lyric, and like it feels wrong because we're used to doing it the other way. Which also, I somehow broke my pen during my passionate thing about Blink-182. I don't know what I did, but I was talking so passionately I broke my pen.
Blink-182, you owe Crystal a new pen.
Mark,
Look what you've done.
the love of my life.
I think with some of the stuff you said, Sid, it makes me think about like two different things. Like one, I think there can be a lot of feelings about these interests and about them changing because they are sometimes a big aspect of our personality. Like you were kind of mentioning, like you're very into The Sims and you have all the Sims merch and do all the Sims things. And like when that's changing, it can be confusing and hard to be like, who am I without this thing? And I think the other thing that comes to mind, and like, I don't know if this applies to other folks, but like, it almost reminds me of like when you go through like a loss with a friend of like, you kind of grow apart. Like there maybe wasn't that like specific moment where you're like, oh, we're in a big fight and we're not friends anymore. But I feel like a lot of us might be able to relate to that idea of like you had this best friend at one point and then maybe you grew apart and they're not in your life anymore, but you still have these like positive memories associated with it, or even like tough moments. But it can be this weird moment of like trying to navigate like what does life look like without this person. Like I don't know if this applies to any of you guys, but like I almost wish we had someone that was really into Harry Potter, because I would love to hear about the journey for folks with that a lot of people were super into it, and a lot of people have abandoned Harry Potter because of a lot of the controversy and stuff about trans people and a lot of stuff with that. But I almost wish I could hear from people like that, because I think that's a really unique one where like people had that huge intensity. It was a huge cultural phenomenon. And now a lot of people have had to kind of reshape that interest and cover up tattoos or have different ways of handling that.
Thanks for making that comparison, because Amanda, like, she's just so good. She's such a good therapist.
She's so good.
I just feel like she just keeps telling this episode, she just keeps telling Sydney and I that we're autistic, and she's just like, yeah, that's what autism is.
So good job, guys. You're in the right place.
But no, you're right. Like we already mentioned it, but I didn't put the two and two together because it is such an emotional and like part of our identity, these things, that when we stop doing them, it feels like we're not honoring a part of ourselves, or like we're not honoring that close relationship. And then it can also feel that like nostalgia of like when you do it again, it's like, oh, I'm like with my friend, like I'm with my old friend again. Like when I put Blink on, I'm like, oh, like I'm back with my friends, but like I don't need to see them in the intensity that I used to see them.
Right. And like something we didn't touch on a ton today, and I don't think we will just because of time, but like these interests can also be a coping skill, and there can be a big loss when that's not there anymore, or you haven't figured out the current thing that you're really into. And I think that's an aspect too that we barely have touched on, of like, if you don't have that, and this used to be the way that you would distract yourself, or this used to be the way that you kind of dealt with life in different ways, not having that can be very distressing.
Yeah, I'm kind of going through that right now. I don't know how long, but like nothing's tickling. Like I've been wandering around, like like nothing's giving me that joy. Like I cycle through mine pretty fast, I would say. Like it'll be a good intense 3 weeks of like reading has been my thing. Like I've been like just consuming books. I was playing video games. I was playing board games related to books. Like I was watching talks with authors of books, right? Like, and I kind of like, I think I burnt myself out with it, and I'm just like nothing. Like I'm like, all right, let me try coloring. It's not really doing it for me. Like let me try scrapbooking. It's okay. Like so today, like just like nothing felt good. Like I was just been like wandering around my apartment, like I was like cleaning something, like going to look at my tomatoes and like come back in, and like you're right, it can be really distressing to like I don't feel complete, and like I don't know why, but that's why, because I don't have a special interest right now.
Something that I was thinking about too while we're talking is that when I was misdiagnosed with OCD, it was partly because I was using the word obsessed. I'm obsessed with The Sims. I'm obsessed with film. I'm obsessed with Ed Sheeran. I'm obsessed with sustainability. And it wasn't really like, yeah, sure. Like I don't know. I don't have like a background in this, so I don't really use the right words. And my therapist at the time was probably just like taking my word as law and was just like, okay, yeah, you're using the word obsessed. Let's go with OCD. And like, you fit all those other criteria. But now I don't know if I would use the word obsessed. I would think I would say hyperfixated, but like, I also would kind of say obsessed. Like what would be the difference between obsessed and hyperfixated and special interest? Like, I don't know. That's interesting to me.
These words, yes, there is like some things, there is like absolutely some clinical definitions, and there's some things of like, it definitely is this thing or it definitely is not that thing. But I also think a lot of the colloquial neurodiverse terms have changed and evolved and been defined in different ways. And I also think too, all the time in common language, we use things that may not be that accurate. Like, I don't know what folks' experience is, but I think a lot of times people will say, I'm depressed, or I'm OCD, or I'm anxious. Mm-hmm. And those are clinical terms that some people colloquially use and does not mean the same thing as clinically major depressive disorder, clinically obsessive behavioral, OCD. I can't talk right now, but obsessive control, whatever. The point being is
obsessive compulsive disorder.
Thank you, Sid. Yeah. Obsessive compulsive disorder.
I know more than Amanda. Just kidding. I don't. Not even close.
Right. Or generalized anxiety disorder. Like, there's very big differences between like, I'm a little anxious and I have a clinical generalized anxiety disorder. And I think, again, I have to keep harping on it, that like, talk to providers. And even then, providers might get things wrong. Like Sid kind of mentioned that like, she's previously been diagnosed with a different disorder than she's diagnosed with now. And even Crystal mentioned that she's talked to providers and they've been like, oh, maybe you should cool out with this and maybe not be so into things from work. It's a messy process. You hope that you have someone that's the right provider. You hope that they're knowledgeable enough about their information and knowledgeable enough by you, but also we're fallible as people. Like, people are not going to get this perfectly. And that's where it's important to kind of like work with yourself, work with your providers, and hopefully come to a place that feels right to you. And if it doesn't feel right, look for the thing that does feel right. That's my soapbox for today.
I love Amanda's soapbox. Amanda's soapbox talk. It's a spin-off of Discovering Divergency.
Amanda's soapbox.
Stay tuned.
It's just Amanda ranting for an hour.
I watched a video of brains getting dissected yesterday.
Ooh, send it to me.
I didn't finish it. It's like 2.5 hours long.
This is where it gets to my special interest. That I have you seen stuff about split brain surgeries? Oh my god! That again. Now we're in my special interest. So you guys got to talk about your stuff. My turn for like 5 minutes. So
yeah,
there's different stuff that when you have certain seizures, sometimes with the seizures, they will sever your corpus callosum, which is like the area that connects the two parts of your the lobes of your brain. And the effect of it is so interesting that because movement and language is in different parts of the brain, you'll be able to if I see certain things, I'll only be able to react to one part of the body and stuff, or I'll be able to make a movement but not make with the words. And it's so interesting. It's a very good surgery that helps a lot of people with intense seizures. But yeah, that's my quick spiel about psychology and split brain procedures and stuff.
Wait,
but
that's insane.
Yeah.
You need to tell me more about
Crystal's
that.
new special interest. I know this sounds like gibberish to Sid, but
I love it.
That's the thing.
I love watching you light up. We all had that same reaction.
Yes.
And I love that.
It's the whole thing. I'm not an expert on this. It's just the thing I find the most weird and the most interesting.
The brain
in
is
psychology.
fascinating. I love
Yeah.
it. And we know, as much as we know about the brain, we know nothing.
Oh,
that's the best part.
A lot of
we
times,
know nothing.
Right. A lot of times they'll be this medication works. We don't know why. And it's BS. Crystal, do you want to get your crystal ball?
Oh, sure. I'm growing sunflowers and one of them bloomed, but that's not this one. But
we're kind of going to talk a little bit now about this thing that we call our sunflower spotlight. So with our sunflower spotlight, it's a segment where we highlight different members of the neurodiverse community because our three experiences are just our three experiences. Like Crystal kind of talked about with her little brain thing, a lot of autistic people are different, so we always want to kind of share some different folks. And we choose the sunflower to represent the segment to bring awareness to the Hidden Disabilities Sunflower Organization. They provide education to organizations, and merch is a simple tool for you to voluntarily share that you have a disability or condition that may not be immediately apparent. Woo.
woohoo!
Wee-hoo-wee-ha!
For our audio listeners, you should check out the video because Crystal always has this lovely crystal ball filled with a sunflower. So our sunflower spotlight today is molmies.draws. So this page is run by Molly. She uses she, her pronouns. So her description is that she's 26. She's an autistic artist and toy collector, disability and chronic illness. And she just talks about she loves her boyfriend as part of her page. So what I'm going to share today is one of her art pieces. So on her page, she shares a bunch of art pieces that represent autism. So this is just one of her art pieces that she has. This is really where our listeners need to kind of tune in visually. So I really hope that you either join us on the podcast through YouTube, or maybe you just click on our Instagram at Discovering Divergency and see the post that we're going to be highlighting in the creator. So it just says, I made this art to capture the feelings I had growing up as an artistic girl. And then it says the title, I have a bow too. So for people that are not looking at it, I don't know if anyone's familiar with Littlest Pet Shop. They're just these little animal figurines, and around the sides, it just has a bunch of little bug-based, Littlest Pet Shops, little butterflies and little different worms and bugs. And then in the middle is an actual realistic looking beetle. So it's really cool with her art pieces. A lot of them are these representations of feeling different in different ways, but not so different. So I really think this art piece is really cool, just to show I'm still a bug too, I have a bow too, but also there's something different about this bug versus all the bugs around it. So I just think this is a cool representation of autism. So if you really like art and you want to learn more about some ways that people represent it with their autism, go ahead and check out her page.
I really like that art. I like art because it makes me think of things that I see things that I never would have come up with myself.
Yeah. And I think her pieces are so fun. Also just as a girl that grew up with these 90s toys, she has a lot of Polly Pocket and a lot of Littlest Pet Shop and Bratz, things of that sort. So I particularly really like it as someone who grew up with those toys. I'm oh, I remember what that toy is.
Yeah, that's really cool. Well, thank you guys for sharing your special interests and your autistic joy, because I feel like I absorb it when I get to hear other people talk about their special interests. So I always love that. Our quote today comes from our girl Temple Grandin. Being with people who share your interests makes socializing easier. And I think that really encompasses what we were talking about, like being around other people who do genuinely love the same thing that you love gives you an outlet where you can just go and just share your joy. And I think that's one of the beauties of the internet, like finding those little niche communities, whether they be other Sims players or people talking about brains or crochet. Like you can find your group of people who will want to listen. This is probably other people's special interest too. Like this, if I wasn't the one talking, I mean, I do listen to this, but like if I wasn't the one talking here, like I would also listen to this because this is part of my special interest. And like, I'm just happy that we get to be a part of that for other people, hopefully.
Yeah. And speaking of that, I know that a lot of people love to comment on things and start conversations and meet people online. So if that's you, and this is your special interest, or maybe you have a different special interest that you would want to start a conversation about, you can put it in our comments. We would love to be the home of your special interest conversations.
Community question.
All right. So before we wrap it up, we got another community question from our lovely community. So I'm going to ask it and someone's going to answer. The question is, you talk about level 1, 2, and 3. What are those and what do they look like? And this person's referring to level 1, 2, 3 autism. So I would love to hear what you guys have to say about that because I don't feel qualified to answer this question.
So I'll kind of go through what each of them is. I will put out there that some people in the autistic community prefer like different support needs rather than like levels. Like sometimes folks in the community can find levels a bit dehumanizing. So I just want to put that out as like a precursor to all of this. But basically, when you get diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder, which is like the full name for autism, in the current Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, which is what's used to diagnose autism, when a clinician goes through and diagnoses you with autism spectrum disorder, they have to clarify the level. With level 1, you still need support, but it's just you're requiring support. You'll see in the other levels, level 2 is requiring substantial support, and level 3 is requiring very substantial support. That's the biggest differences is how much support you need. We are all level 1, the 3 of us on the podcast. That means that we still may need support in our life, but for the most part, we can live relatively independently. We can move through our life relatively independently, and we can survive our life without substantial supports. For substantial and very substantial supports, those are going to be folks that may need a home health aide, may need some kind of provider in some way to help them, may need someone that helps them in day-to-day life. And again, we may still need supports. We may still need things that help us, but in different ways than level 2 and level 3.
Yeah, I think just like for simplification of like when we talk about the levels, it's just a way that I think clinically that there has been to try to differentiate the differences, because in the past there were different words for different presentations of autism, and autism is such a wide spectrum and does look so different, where to say that, you know, someone like me who is having a full conversation right now, who has a master's degree, who lives with some support from her partner, a lot of support from her partner, but has the same disorder as a person who maybe can't walk correctly without physical assistance, or can't speak, or can't complete daily needs like going to the bathroom, like, or taking a shower without physical support. To say that we have the exact same thing would be really hard clinically. So they've developed these levels.
The last thing I'll kind of add to it is for folks that grew up hearing the word Asperger's, autism level 1 is what used to be called Asperger's. That's the best way that I can wrap up that too, is if you remember in the past hearing about autism versus Asperger's, and there's more nitty-gritty with how things have changed with intellectual functioning and how that has changed diagnostically with those things. But colloquially, like we kind of mentioned today, if sometimes people know certain terms or don't know certain terms or use them in certain ways, if you had heard about Asperger's, that's autism level 1, to put it really simply.
Thanks for joining us today. If you enjoyed hearing about our special interests and anything and everything that we discussed, please like this episode. If you want to learn more about divergency, autism, ADHD, special interests, Sims, sustainability, the brain, please subscribe on YouTube or follow us on Spotify or both. We're also on Instagram. We're discovering Divergency in all of those places, so you can find us anywhere under the same name. We put out new episodes every Thursday. If there's any topics that you want us to cover, anyone you want us to spotlight, let us know, leave a comment. We are also going to start posting on Substack, and by we, I mean Crystal. We're going to link that as well below. Let us know any special interests you have, or if you share our special interests. I would love to bond with someone over Sims. I don't have enough Sims friends. And with that, we're going to sign off. Okay, love you, bye! Love you, bye!
Okay, love you, bye!